Hello everyone, friends. Today I want to talk on a topic which is the Siberian magma plume, nanoplastics, and the threat that they pose to our health and also to climate. I want to make the connection between those two because many people really don't, but let's go step by step. First of all, my name is Nabil. I am a volunteer participant of the international public movement called Allatra. And basically, I want to say sorry for the quality of the image, but right now my equipment is such. So let's begin with what is happening with Siberia and West Antarctica and basically global warming, right? We know for a fact that in the late 90s, precisely 98, 97, 98, something happened with the core of our planet, right? In the core of our planet, basically, the magnetic field is generated, right? So when something happens, some, let's say, unexpected or sudden movement in the core, for example, a jump, right? You can detect it in the changes of the magnetic field. Precisely in the late 90s, the magnetic North Pole started running at a very high speed towards Siberia. It was in Canada and went southward towards Siberia, right? So this is a very well documented and known fact. After that, what do we know? We know that in the last 30 years, the Siberian Arctic and actually Siberia as a whole, the Siberian region, it's experiencing a very accelerated warming compared to the rest of the planet. This is known as Siberian amplification, if I'm not mistaken. It means that the Siberian Arctic is warming 2 or 2.5 to 4 times faster than the rest of the planet. Okay, bear in mind that Siberia and the Arctic, the Siberian Arctic, it's one of the coldest places in the planet. So, what could be so hot to making it warmer than other regions, for example, Europe or I don't know, Africa or South America, for example. So if you look at the map of the warming of the last over the last 30 years, you also notice that not only Siberia and the Siberian Arctic are warming faster, but also Antarctica. And we know for a fact that only West Antarctica is warming, whereas the eastern part of Antarctica is actually gaining ice mass. So here you have the map of subglacial volcanoes in Antarctica. While this is a map of ice loss and ice gain, and you can clearly see that the contours of ice loss are precisely at West Antarctica and a little bit of part of the south, precisely where all the subglacial volcanoes are placed, whereas Eastern Antarctica is gaining ice. What does this mean? Antarctica is heating from below. So if you watch at this picture, you will see that it's clear why. The core shifting towards Siberia has activated the Siberian magma plume, therefore releasing huge quantity of heat towards Siberia and the Siberian Arctic. Then, of course, the core doesn't stand still. As a kind of counter hit, it went downwards towards precisely Antarctica, and the subglacial volcanoes activated, therefore starting the heating process of West Antarctica. So now we see this pattern. So what does this have to do with micro nanoplastics? Micro nanoplastics are precisely the drivers of what we would call the greenhouse effect. We're all accustomed to this term, the fact that basically the greenhouse gases are trapping heat in the atmosphere. Well, it's kind of the same thing, only it's not only the greenhouse gases, but the major driver probably it's precisely micro nanoplastics. Why? Because they behave as a resonator. So they blanket the oceans, and the oceans are aren't quite able anymore to release heat effectively into the atmosphere and then outward into space, because atmosphere and the biosphere as a whole itself is filled with micro nanoplastics, which are electrostatically charged. Therefore, this electrostatic charge acts as a catalyzer for reactions, right? And also for heat. So heat doesn't get released efficiently into the outer space. It stays within the atmosphere, it stays within the ocean and amplifies the looping effect of heating. And of course, with pathological heating comes also pathological cooling. That's why we are witnessing all these massive snowstorms, that sweep across entire continents. So, what is it that we still can do? As of today, if we simply strip micro nanoplastics of their ability to retain, well, to accumulate and retain the electrostatic charge, basically nature, the whole ecosystems, ocean, atmosphere, the biosphere, will go back to its normal function. Heat will be released efficiently into space, and even the situation with the Siberian magma plume will improve, and West Antarctica and, let's say, abnormal heating will improve, and everything will go back to normal. But we need to start this process right now, and it's a huge, colossal effort, because we need to deprive of electrostatic charge all micro nanoplastics that it's already released into the environment, meaning all the particles that are in the ocean, in the atmosphere, and in our bodies and in animals. We need to deprive all of these particles of their electrostatic charge. Do you understand how massive this task is? For that, we need to bring together scientists in a coordinated international project, such as, for example, in the past has been the Human Genome Project, when they mapped the human genome, right? We need that kind of cooperation and that kind of coordination internationally in order to be able to find an effective solution and to release it globally, all together. And that's difficult as of now because we are so divided. So what is ELECTRO trying to do is trying to create a platform in which scientists can cooperate, without having to be limited by political divides and other stuff that divide us all. So I hope this was as brief as I could and clear, and I really advise anyone who has been watching this video up until this point to go to the allatra.org website, familiarize yourself with this information, deepen a little bit your knowledge on the subject via reading the reports or watching the video contents. And spread the word, guys. Spread the word, because it's really, really important that this is not just like, empty talks. This is real things that affect each and every one of us, regardless of where we live on the planet. Doesn't matter on which continent do you live. This is the same for each and every one of us, and it's a problem that unites us. Therefore, the only way out of this is together. Thank you very much. See you next time.